Another day started. Boy, I'm glad to be back home.
I'm very, very glad that you're back home too. Where have you been? I got a message from you last week saying, Dave, I'm going out of town. I won't have very good cell phone service. And I wrote back, okay, talk to you when you get back. Where have you been these last several days?
I have been to Pahrump, Nevada.
I didn't know there was such a place.
Yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere. And it means I forget the name, Paiute language, rock water.
All right. What were you doing up there?
Really hard, you know. What's that?
What were you doing up there?
I was 4 days with intensive handgun training.
Oh my god! Oh, that's right. You posted a picture on your Facebook.
Yep, 200 to 300 rounds a day was what we were shooting. I used a 9mm Glock, and we did. I mean, you talk about an adventure. This was absolutely incredible. I mean, you get 40 people with guns. Oh my goodness, you got to be worried about somebody's going to pull the trigger on you. You know, somebody make a mistake. But I mean, it was flawless. These instructors are awesome.
That's really, really good. So now, a lot of people may not know, but you're a gamesman, you're a hunter, and you have several different arms. You want to share a little bit about what you use? You've got your 9mm Glock. What are some of the other rifles and things that you use? Well,
I use my Glock for self-defense, and I also have a 45 Glock as well. I've got a 30-06 is my favorite weapon. It's I bought that thing 40 some years ago, and I use that for hunting. And I've hunted all over, up in a place called Alaska, and hunted up there and up in Montana, all over the United States, and it's been pretty incredible. But yeah, I've got some, and then I've got. I love doing it's called house clearing and combat. So, like one of the things that we did over the past 4 days was the scenario was I go in, I see two guys going into my house, and I know my daughter's in there. You call 911, and they say, "Look, we can only put you on the list. We're really backed up, and we don't know how long it'll be before you get there." So I go. That's the scenario. I can't wait for the police. I get two bad guys going in my house. So I go in. As soon as I open the door, here's a bad guy with a handgun pointing right at me. I put two in his thoracic and one right between his eyes. I go to the next doorway, and here's my wife standing there with a picture of a woman who's supposed to be my wife with a cell phone in her hand. And I look to the left, and here's this guy's got my daughter. And all I got is this much of a headshot. So I shot him right between the eyes with that one. Turned and looked, and there was a guy with a shotgun laying down here getting ready to blast me. And I turned and pumped two into him, in the thoracic, and one right there. So we're over with.
There we go. Yeah. Very good. Well, we're glad that you're back. We're glad that we've got quite a few people joining us. Let's give some hellos here. We've got, we've got Yolanda, we've got Suze, we've got Jeremy, we've got Dee, we've got some folks over on YouTube as well. So, folks, my name is Dave Shrine, and this is Steve Edwards. Steve Edwards is the face behind Queen Valley Mule Ranch, and Steve's been working with Cowboy his whole life. Been working with mules and donkeys since around 1981, 1982 time, and every single Wednesday we get together for about an hour to just chat and talk and answer as many questions as possible about mules and donkeys. And if your standards are a little bit lower, we talk about horses too. So the way this works, there's really three things that we ask. The number one is that you just let us know that you can hear us and share your name and where you're watching from. This is a really personal thing. It's not the Steve and Dave show. It's really all about us getting together and just spending a little bit of time together. Steve and I will carry the conversation, but you guys will be the ones to direct it and guide it. So the first one is just share your name and where you're watching from. We want to know, that we're not here doing this all by ourselves. The second thing that we ask is that if you do have a question, don't hold on to it. Put it in the comments section because that's what guides this show. That's what guides our time here. And if we run out of questions, we run out of things to talk about. So we've reserved and we've set aside this time every single week in our calendar to be here for you guys as much as possible and answer as many questions as possible. So go ahead and take advantage and put in the comments there whatever your question is. And the third thing we ask is that if you like what we're doing here, if you value it, if you think it would be good for other people to join in, tag them or share this broadcast with them on your Facebook feed, or copy the YouTube link and send it out to those friends and family members. If you're on Facebook watching, just down below there's a button that says share. Click that, put it on your wall, leave a comment saying what you appreciate about it. But those are the only three things. With those three things kind of taken care of, I want to go here and I just want to see everyone else who's chimed in. We've got Craig over in Chatham, Virginia, sunny and 80 degrees. Craig, we are so glad that you're here watching it on YouTube. We've got Keith from Missouri. We've got Judy Luce, Nadine from New Hampshire. We've got Keith with LogoKnife.com. All right, Keith, I'm going to have to check that out.
Keith.
We've got Celeste. You know Keith?
Yeah. Keith. Now, everybody that buys something from me, I send a pocket knife with.
He's the one who made the knives.
He's the one that puts my logo and everything on there. Yeah, he's guilty.
There we go. Awesome,
Yeah.
Keith. Nice to meet you. I'll have to shake your hand in person sometime here. We've got Celeste watching from Florida, Tommy from Arkansas, Joyce from Nebraska, Marcus from Saratoga, and Yolanda at the very beginning, and Suze took us international. So we've gone international again here with our live mule and donkey clinic. Steve, what do you say? Should we get right into the questions?
Let's go, man. I'm ready.
Let's get right into them. And I've got a big one for you right off the bat, okay?
Uh-oh.
This one comes from Karen, and Karen has been a mule owner for a long time, and her mule is 27. She sent us an email, and she says, I've been using the Traillight saddles for years. My mule is now 27 and developing white spots on her back. I'm sending pics of her spots in the pad I use. I can't use your neoprene pad because of skin condition she has. The vet says not to. What do you suggest about the white spots? And what I'm going to do right here, Steve, is while you start talking about what the white spots are, I'm going to send you a couple pictures on your iPhone. So go ahead and share a little bit about what these white spots are, and then I'll tell you when I've got those pictures coming your way.
Okay, white spots. Number one, white spots are dead hair follicles on the back. So if you've got a paint mule, they'll be even more prevalent. So that really or a really black colored mule, they're really prevalent because of the skin pigments. So white spots are from overheating. We've got an article written about it. I've talked about it, and it's what it is. It's just overheating. You take them one day, you had a hot old sultry day, and you didn't have time to take and rest your mule. What I mean by that is, when you stop to take a break, which should be every couple hours or so, give your mule a break and do it this way. You loosen the front cinches, loosen the back cinches, loosen up your britchem, lift up the back of the saddle, move it up and down a few times, let some cool air go through it. Cool air go through it. And then after you've done that, let the saddle set, finish taking your break, pick the saddle up and down, wave it up and down a few times, let some cool air go through it, and then go ahead and cinch things up. Now, where's the biggest place that we get white hairs? Right behind the scapula. Here's the scapula right here. I got the scapula right there.
Yeah, there it is.
That's what it looks like. Now, I'm going to take this thing to the Hoosier Horse Fair. It's coming up, okay? So here's the scapula right here. This is off of an antelope, folks. It's not off of an ornery mule, all right? So here's the scapula. The scapula goes up, down, up, down, up, down. And right in behind that, right here, there's a working area that moves around. Where's your front cinch? Right there. What is the cinch? Where do you see most of your white hairs? Right there. Why is that? Because your front cinch is too tight. Number one thing, When you got that too tight, your saddle is setting at an angle, and it's going to cantilever. It's going to put pressure right in behind that scapula, right here, where it's going to put it. And there's where you're going to see most of your white hairs. What you've done, what people have done, and what I've done in the past, if we have restricted the movement of the tendons and the muscles, and so by restricting it, the hair follicles start getting hot. They can't keep things cool, and they go from there. Now, that's why I developed the perforated neoprene saddle pad. I got tired of wool constantly burning. Just read all the commercials you hear on these guys. They say it whisks away the moisture. Why do you want to take away the natural lubrication? Why do you want to take away the natural way for the animal to keep cool? Now, I heard you mention something about the vet says she's allergic to neoprene. Folks, I guarantee you I've ridden a lot of mules, and I've been around a lot of mules. And I have ridden neoprene now for close to 25 years. Now, the neoprene that I use may be different than everybody else's. There's a lot of stuff produced back overseas and this sort of thing. But I've had people bring the mules to ride. They say, my mule's allergic to neoprene, so don't use it. Guaranteed. I used it. I had no problems at all. And the people were blown away because they had it. So I'd like to know what the vet saw to say she's allergic to neoprene. I'm blown away by it, Dave. I've seen it so much. I've ridden them so much, and I've used this saddle pad. If it's solid neoprene, it's going to scald. Mine's perforated, so it allows. It's like a radiator sitting on their back. So
yeah,
I'm supposed to have some pictures here, am I?
Yeah, I sent some pictures there, and I'm going to throw it up on the screen so everybody else can see it. So I'll put it up there. They can see the pictures now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the fat pocket right there. Then notice it's on both sides, and it's a fat pocket, and it's right about where the D-ring is. And since that fat pocket is there and it's really prevalent, let me do this right here. Oh yeah, that's what that is a high spot, a fat pocket, and so that's going to especially show up since mules are a little bit more chubbier in that area. Yeah, and normally they show up higher, Dave, up by the scapula and up by the wither.
I noticed that was one of the things that I've learned a couple things.
Yeah, well, so this one here, this is a high spot. So so her name was Leslie. Take your hand, Leslie, and go with the hair.
Oh, this one was Karen.
Karen, okay. So as you go along with the hair, and as you're going along, you're going to feel that high spot. And notice you've got it on both sides. Now, I got to say, Karen, that a girl, because you are a centered rider. Where you only see it on one side is because the rider's sitting crooked. So, Karen, you're riding straight. So just feel that high spot, you'll feel it. So what to do about it? I personally won't use wool. I've seen too much from it. That's why I've developed the perforated neoprene, and I'm trying to open that one. So this is wool felt she's using.
Mm-hmm.
Wool felt pad, yeah, and it's too big. There's no way. You notice how my pads are contoured to the saddles.
Mm-hmm.
This is way too much pad, and it's not allowing any air at all. So you've got a high spot, and then you've got the wool felt, which, like I said, I've had too many problems with, and straight wool's been the worst one, but wool felt. But that's why I developed, folks. You don't need a lot of pad. Originally, these saddles were designed to, and I'm not just talking about my saddles, but saddles in general were designed so that you just put it right on. There's that wool on the back of the saddle. You put it on and ride. It wasn't until the Army started putting blankets underneath their saddles, it's when they started having blankets underneath the saddles, or the cowboys, the drovers that drove the cattle across country. Same thing. They threw their blankets underneath their saddles, and especially when they didn't have a bedrow or a bedrow wagon. But anyway, The pad needs to be smaller so that it fits the saddle itself and no more than that. So I would be interested in what that vet has to say, what's supposed to be the skin conditioning, because I've yet to see it, Dave.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'll get back in touch with her. The next comment that we've got, this one comes from Thus, who's been emailing in. He says, "Hi, Steve and Dave. I've been following your advice." We answered one of his questions last week. "I've been following your advice and am just riding my Molly mule regularly. I've been taking her antics more in stride, remembering that she is a mule, not a horse. When she seems a bit feisty, I just trot her forward in a steady rhythm until she is calmer. I try not to interfere too much. I have also been spending more time just scratching her and reassuring her. I think I was a bit too disciplinarian and expected a bit much. I also try to move a lot slower around the horses, especially the mule. Thanks again for the great advice and updates about your show. Mules and Greedies from Mpumalanga, South Africa."
South Africa. Well, how about that? Good. I'm glad to work for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun to hear. So thank you, Thus, for following up. It actually is a lot of fun to hear the follow-up. I love getting those emails. The next question that we got, this one comes from Penny. And, before I do that, I want to just make sure that we say hi to everybody else who's joined us since. We've got Craig from Nicaragua, or KK from Nicaragua. Craig was from Virginia, and then Tracy from Lake Como, PA. So glad to have you guys here, and they're watching it on YouTube and over on Facebook here. We've got, let's see here. I think I've got Karen from Raymond, California, Lucinda from Ellsberg, Washington, Judy is here, Eric Palmer's here. So y'all, so happy that you're here joining us. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. The next question we're going to get to here, this one's from Penny. And Penny says, "Can I use your trail bit if my mule still has his wolf teeth? He's 18, and I feel he's too old to bother with getting them pulled. Or should I use something else when I bought him? Should I use something else? When I bought him, all he came with to ride was a leather halter with a large chain. I put him in a snaffle to gather cows. Did not feel I had enough control. He is herd soured. I found out we made it through the day. I am a first-time mule owner. Always had horses growing up. My daddy was an old school cowboy who has passed. I'm finding out it's not always the best. Please help. I'm very open to ideas." I love that. "I'm very open to ideas. I am now a mule girl. That fits my needs for riding. I get along very well with him. Just need to work out a few kinks." So what would you have to say there for Penny? Her main question was trail bit with a mule that has his wolf teeth at 18. Should I get him pulled? Do I need something else?
Yes, pull the wolf teeth. Now, make sure they're the wolf teeth and not the canines, because a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that a canine is a wolf tooth. It's not. The canine is down below. Here's the front teeth, the incisors here. And then right behind here is a real pointy type tooth. And it's mostly the John mules that has them. And very few of the Molly mules. And then your canines are always going to be there. And they're helpful to the John mule. The wolf teeth is up in the top, just in front of your back teeth back here. All right? So, yes, pull it. Your mule would be a lot more comfortable. And while they pull it, make sure that they float the teeth. Every year, every spring, float your teeth. No matter what the vet says, get the teeth balanced. Remember how to do that? Take your lower jaw, upper jaw, move your hands back and forth and listen. And as you hear that grinding, that's going to be saying to you, hey, we're catching here and these teeth are going to be grinding. And the mule will be a lot happier after he gets the vet work done.
So the other thing here is she said, "My daddy was a cowboy. I've always been around horses." When you're talking with someone who spent their entire life around horses, they've made that transition to the mule. Is there any other type of advice that you would throw out there to reassure them in what they're doing and kind of make sure that they go down the right path?
Well, just remember that half of your mule is donkey. So where people have a problem is they focus on the horse end of it, the flight pattern, and this sort of thing, where the mules brace into it. So you found out the hard way yet, but the easy way because you didn't go to the ER, and that is smooth snaffle bits. Mules have no respect for, none. So, Dave, that's why I developed that Mule Rider's martingale with a double twisted wire snaffle bit. That right there is the best way to go. And I found out that by the hard way that just the double twisted wire snaffle bit by itself will not control the animal, because they still stick their nose out, they still throw their head up. So she found out that that smooth snaffle bit didn't work. So I would, if the mule, look, folks, snaffle bits are rings and they fork in the middle. They're not like my trail rider bit, the finish bit. They're not like this. They have big rings, and that is the crisper, cleaner communication if you are building a foundation or if you are fixing a problem. So if you're starting one, building a foundation, or if you're fixing a problem, use my Mule Rider's martingale. Notice I didn't say smooth snaffle bit, because I've seen more animals with split tongues from smooth snaffle bit, because horse people tend to pull more. You pull on a mule, they'll brace into you. So there you are. That's my big suggestion is, when it comes down to these mules, remember to always bump and never pull. That's the biggest thing you can do, difference between a horse and a mule.
Yeah, and one of the things that, if you guys are ever out this area when we do a clinic, or if you see Steven at the Steven, my son's name is Steven. If you see Steve, well, your name's Steven too. I just call you Steve. If you see Steve,
no, my name is Steve. My son's name is Sean.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there
Sean.
you go. All right.
S-E-A-N.
So if you see Steve at any of these events, you'll notice that he does the bump, bump, bump. And he'll even demonstrate with people, say, okay, go ahead and pull. And he'll have people, he'll hold one end and they'll pull the other end, and they can't move him. And then they'll go bump, 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 and it moves. And he'll do the opposite way. He'll say, okay, I'm going to pull against you, and they'll pull right back at him. But then he goes bump, 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 and their feet loosen up and they go forward. It's a much more effective way of communicating. It's kind of a little bit of a, well, you would think that if you pull, you're giving all your strength, but no, it's that momentum, right? That inertia from each one.
Yep, that little slight bump, bump, bump. They can't brace against it, but if you pull against them, they can tighten all 5 major neck muscles, and they got you.
Yeah. No, that's good. Okay, we've got Natasha here. She says, where can I get a hat like that? I love the shape of it. Steve, tell me about your hat real quick.
Well, this is a Buckaroo hat. The Buckaroos are in Nevada. They're in northern part of Utah, up around through Montana and this sort of thing. Northern California, your Sierras, your Yosemite country and this sort of thing. Buckaroos are used to wearing high boots, high stovetop boots, chinks. They have lots of silver on their bits and saddles. Their hats are designed. I've got different ones, but you can see how it's tipped up in the back, and that's mainly from tradition, because the back of the horses, when they buck, hit the back of the hat. But this is a Buckaroo hat. It is not an Amish hat, like some people think. I've got a black one and a straw one as well. But it just when I'm in Nevada or California and this sort of thing, I usually use that hat for that particular one. But it's a Buckaroo hat. Now some folks they call them pancake hats, and then the Buckaroos, when they see the guys that have the hats that tipped up on the side, they call that the taco hat. So there you go.
Very cool.
It's Buckaroo, and this one in particular is made by the Buffalo Hat Company. I don't know if you can read that.
How about that? That's good. Yeah, we can see that.
Yeah, it's a custom-made hat made for me by the Buffalo Hat Company.
How fun. That's awesome. All right, next question here. Marina sent us an email, and here's what Marina had to say. We recently purchased our first ever mule. Awesome. We should have a bell or something that we ring when somebody says that. We should do that. We went to Montana to check him out before buying him. He is 14 and has been used to trail and pack, and as a pack mule. He seemed very gentle and friendly and did well on our trial rides. He will be making a long trip from Montana to Alaska, and we are wondering the best approach for settling him in. We have horses here, but no other mules. How shall we help him adjust? We've heard this can be tricky with a new mule. Perhaps Steve has addressed this in an article or video. What would you have to say there, Steve, about getting this new mule, new to them, adjusted to a new environment? And no other mules, all horses.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Mules are going to be very, very subservient to the horses. They'll let them eat all their feed. The horses will kick them, thrash them around, showing them who's going to be the top of pecking order, and the mule will just be subservient. So what's the best thing you can do when you get a mule home? And I've written articles about it, and I think the one is called Welcome Home, Mr. Mule, something like that. And first thing you do, folks, when you take your new mule home, do not put him out with everybody else. Don't do that. All of a sudden, the herd leadership will go into place, and that mule will be whipped on. He'll be the bottom of the pecking order, everything else. And he won't pay attention to you. That's important. So for the next 6 months, remember that, folks. Always remember, a training session is not just for 30, 60, 90 days. 6 months builds a foundation. So for 6 months, that mule is going to be in a 20 by 20 corral where you can feed him, you can water him, and you can take care of him. Now, you're going to see that mule's mind change tremendously. When you take him from Montana to Alaska, not the trip, but when he gets around other mules, you're going to think, where did I get this guy? And some people even use some other explicitives, but I'm not going to go into that. But you folks are going to be contacting me going, man, what happened to my nice mule? Because he's trying to become part of that other herd. He needs to be part of your herd. You must be the herd leader. Don't feel sorry for him. Don't turn him out in the pasture. Keep him in a 20 by 20 stall and go from there. And I'm sure we may even have some people out there that have heard me say it and have been doing it. It's inevitable, folks. You make sure that you become the herd leader.
Very good. So we've got another question that's going to really go well to follow up there. This one comes from Lucinda. Lucinda says, hi from Ellensburg, Washington. I'm looking at purchasing my first mule and understand the importance of getting the correct tack. Is there a good source of used equipment? It's a huge outlay to get all the gear at once. What would you say to someone who's looking? I mean, it's a big purchase to go from not owning a mule to owning a mule, not just the animal itself, but the tack, all the equipment, the feed, the trailer, the quarters, everything. What would you say about someone who's trying to prioritize this thing and trying to prioritize what they should buy new, what they should buy used? What would you say?
Well, here's the thing, folks. You're trying to build a relationship with a new friend. And you don't want to cuss him out. Okay? You don't want to make him uncomfortable. You want him to be your friend. You want him to be around you, be comfortable. You go throwing a bunch of tack on that thing that's not going to fit, this mule's going to get to where he don't trust you, you're done. Look, I'd love to say I know you can go pick up a Steve Edwards used saddle someplace. I don't know of any. I always use the story about this one person contacted me. He says, hey, Steve, I found one of your cowboy saddles on eBay, and right now they want $850 for it. Well, back then, that saddle sold for $980 new. In other words, they don't drop in value like all the other saddles do. Since I'm the only one that sells them, I don't have a bunch of stores and outlets. Not only can I give you the service, but the saddles, finding them used for a cheap price is rare to do. Once in a while it can be done. I've talked to a few people, but don't do yourself a favor and do the mule a favor. Just get it done one time, and everything's right to start with, and go from there.
One of the things you told me, and I'm going to put a link to our article, Everything You Need to Know About Mule Saddles, and Lucinda, I'm also going to link to Essential Gear so you can take a look at that. One of the things that you mentioned is that a lot of times these saddles, horse, mule, whatever, these saddles, they wind up getting the fenders shaped to the original rider, and folks wind up having knee problems because they'll go ahead and they'll try to to hop on a used saddle that has all of this wear to a specific rider, and it winds up putting pressure on the knees. So that was a little something that I had never thought about, but it does make a lot of sense. If you've got the fenders shaped to someone's specific leg after years, and then you try to put yours in there, it is going to put some pressure on the knees, right?
Oh, absolutely. See, folks, leather's got to be wet to shape. And once you start adding oil to the saddles, that's why I don't deeply oil mine. I want to shape the saddle to you. You know, you want your mule to be comfortable, but look, you got hours and hours and hours in the saddle. You know, fit the saddle to you. Folks, it's not worth the pain and anguish going through the sore back and sore knees by trying to make a used saddle work for you, you know. And the trail light saddle, Dave, man, I've got people with back problems, knee problems, hip problems, and the trail light saddle is light. It weighs 18 pounds. It's like $1,090, and it's the best way to go. Look, folks, just do it right the first time you're done with it.
Yeah, one of the things, you and I were talking a little bit about the trail light earlier, and if this is your first time ever hanging out with us, we rarely talk about Steve's Tack, Steve's saddles. Saddles will come up, but we rarely talk about these things. Every now and again it does come up, and one of the things you and I were chatting about, not this week, last week, because you were in Nevada and I had a hard time getting a hold of you, but was the fact that saddle actually has the D-rings at the, what is it, the 7th, it's the prime size. It's the size that you use now, the ones that work best, and it's the easiest saddle to get into. It's the lowest cost one. So it really is a great saddle.
Yeah, well, it's not just what I say, Dave. I have people all over the world that have said, "Wow, that made a difference in my mule," you know. And you know, I never thought I'd be selling saddles. You know, anybody would have said to me, "Steve, you're going to be selling saddles all over the world." I'd have said, "You're crazy." Folks, I would never get into this if I didn't think, if I found somebody that made a saddle that actually worked. And believe me, I've had the saddle sent to me. Hey, Steve, we want your name on this saddle. So here's the whammo saddle. It fits the mules. No, folks, it's not just put it on the mule and look at it and say, "Yeah, that fits." No. Riding, spending time out there on the side of a mountain, punching cows, whatever. Just putting it on that mule and say, "Yep, it looks good," or maybe taking a couple-hour ride. That's not end result. I've got over 40 years of trying to figure out cinches, bridles, bits. This is not somebody else's whammo idea. It's what I designed. And what I learned from the mule and the donkey, you know. Yeah. And that's enough of that. What else we got here?
So Eric Palmer says, "Hey Eric. Steve, did endurance intro ride this weekend, 12 miles in 2 hours. Want to do the 25 to 50 mile rides coming up. Any tips on conditioning for this kind of riding? Our pulse rates came down in less than 5 minutes to 60 BPM, but doubling the distance will be a push, I think. Thanks." So what do you have to say about building up the endurance for a mule, going even from 12 miles up to 25 all the way up to 50?
Yeah, you know, the biggest thing, folks, when it comes down to building up the endurance, yes, the heart rate builds that up, but it's strengthening the tendons. That type of riding is extremely, extremely hard on the tendons. And when you blow a tendon, you have a bowed tendon, you could either have a crippled mule for life, or you could have one be out for the year, you know. So the other thing, Dave, is he has a saddle that was originally designed for me that he ended up buying because it was too heavy for me to lift back when my hips were bad, you know. So I would suggest if he's going to do that type of riding, let's knock off some pounds. So Eric, get my trail light saddle. It only weighs 18 pounds compared to that saddle that you're riding, which is 40-some pounds. That knock off 20 pounds. That'll be a big difference. But the best thing you folks can do to leg one up, especially out here, Eric, is go ride the washes. Go ride the sand washes. That legs them up really good. Get a chance to go up a few hills. Going up a hill builds the hips.
Very good.
And let's look at feed. Let's look at feed. Eric, when you're getting ready to climb in the saddle and go ride, give your mule whole oats. That's going to build muscle. It's going to give the mule stability and energy. Whole oats, not rolled oats, whole oats. And what that's going to do is going to help keep your top line going, because the downside of riding the hair off of these mules like this is we start losing the top line, the muscle mass, and pretty soon we've got no top line. So feed whole oats when you're going to put a lot of miles on them, and that's going to give them the energy and go.
Very good. Thanks for the question, Eric. It's always good to hear from you. And folks, if you're not following Eric on Facebook, you need to. He puts a lot of really cool stuff. I love seeing Eric's stuff. He does pictures and videos, puts it in his feed almost every day, and it's a lot of fun. Next question we got comes from Mark Miller. Mark's watching over on YouTube. Great day here in Pennington Gap, Virginia. When you meet a mule for the first time, how long does it take to tell what kind of disposition of the mule, and what do you look for? Anyone close by to give me a text? What are you looking for, and can you tell disposition right away?
Is this Mark Miller?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Hey, Mark. Mark is going to be bringing his mule all the way to the Hoosier, by the way. So you'll usually see disposition right away. You'll see an old mule that you walk up to him, he just kind of keeps his head down, and you go up to pet on him. He's not like this, got a bunch of white in his eye. Who are you? What's going on? It's like, hey, pard, how are you? And this sort of thing. Likes to be scratched on. Doesn't get worried when you touch him in different places. Within 5-10 minutes at the most, I usually tell people that mule's for you or that mule's not for you.
Very good. Next question. This one comes from Craig over on YouTube. I have a new mule. He's been driven before but does not like to be caught or handled. If I get a lunge line on him, he will run for 30 minutes until I can get close enough to touch him. Help.
Oh, my.
Well, tell me first here, what's a lunge line?
Well, a lunge line is a long rope on the end of a halter, and they go around and around and around. Now, the best way to do it is to put him in the round pen and just stand there. Don't push him or anything. Let him go, 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 go. And the herd leader is going to do this. As soon as he goes, go, 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 as soon as he starts to slow down, his lungs are starting to hurt, his heart's starting to pound, and she's starting to slow down and get some rest, then you get after him. Hey, 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 and make the mule go around. But see, this mule says, in order to get away from what I perceive as a problem, I've got to run. Flight because of fright. So, you control his feet. You do that by being the herd leader. And you do it this way. Don't get behind him with a whip and making him go, or a lunge rope. Put him in a round pen. He takes off running. Watch him go. Watch him go. He's going around. And pretty soon, you'll start watching that left ear starting to port towards you. That left brain starting to say, hey, can we talk about this? And the mule's running, and he's running. Pretty soon the mule wants to slow down. You'll see him wanting to slow down in a particular part of the round pen. You'll watch that ear will get more and more focused on you. Well, when he starts to slow down, get after him. Hey, 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 go, go, go. So you are now being the herd leader and controlling the feet. So then the mule goes around, and he's coming back to that spot again. About the third time, you step back one step, maybe two. And that takes the pressure off that mule. The mule's going to go, oh, you want to talk to me right here? Good, I like that. And that mule will get to where he'll start stopping there and waiting. The problem is, folks, that type of mule is very sensitive. And if you're a first-time mule owner, you don't need that mule. I don't want you to end up in the ER. That kind of a mule needs to have an experienced rider that can go. Driven is good for these mules. Every mule should drive. Mm-hmm. But, the thing is, with that type of a mule, with that kind of energy, you first-time riders, you're going to get yourself hurt. It don't cost you any more to get another good mule that likes you, that's got a good disposition, than it does that one that wants to run and go and get away from you. Yeah.
Not to mention getting put in the hospital. That's going to be a big. That's going to be a Big bill there. I want to take a few seconds just to say to anybody who's hanging out with us, just hopping in, my name is Dave, this is Steve, and we show up every single Wednesday to talk mules and donkeys. So if this is your first time in a long time or first time ever, we are so glad that you're here. Please just let us know that you're here. This isn't the Steve and Dave show. This is a mule and donkey clinic, and it's interactive. And even though Steve and I are the ones driving the conversations, you are the ones deciding what it is we're going to talk about. So please just say what your name is and where you're watching from. If you want to say your mule's name or the weather, that's absolutely welcome as well. We'd love to know what it's like where you're at. So thank you so much for hanging out. There's 3 things that we ask. Number 1, that you share who you are and where you're watching from. Number 2, that you ask your question, that you not get timid or feel like, oh, they've answered that before, or, oh, I asked this last week. I don't want to, look foolish. No, nonsense. Put it all in the comments section. We want these to help people for a long time. And the third question is that you share this broadcast. You share this video on Facebook. There's a button down below that says share. Go ahead and click that and put it out on your feed. That way other folks are able to come in and we continue to build this community here. And folks will tell you, they'll put it in the comment section right now. What we're doing here is really, really helping. We're getting some really good questions. We're having some really good conversations, and folks are getting real positive results, and that's what we're in this thing for. So real quick, we've got I want to make sure that we've got saying hi to everyone here. We've got Natasha, we've got Gary Green from Tularosa, we've got Bonnie. Hey Gary, we got Bonnie, we got Richard Matthews, morning Chaplain Steve, we got William from from Virginia, we've got Aaron Ireland from Australia International, we've got Megan Upshaw from Arcadia, Florida, we've got let's see, Edie Wick watching from New Mexico, Kevin Hallman from Glen Rose, Texas, and let's see here, Tommy Payne, Kelly Harris Jellison, Bonnie Fox, Linda Dean. We've got everyone here. Let's see over on YouTube if there's anyone else. We've got Dawn. Leslie's watching. Leslie, Steve and I talked. I'm going to be getting with you here as soon as we're done with this broadcast. So we got a lot of really good folks. I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out. The next question that we've got here.
Let me touch on a couple things real quick.
Go for it.
Okay, Bonnie Fox, you mentioned her. I think she said she's somewhere in her 70s. She just competed with an equine based competition, so not just mules, but she competed and she had 10 people in her group, and she was number 5 out of the 10. She did really good. I forget what her age is. I won't give it, but anyway, she sent some videos, Dave, and so I'm going to send them to you. She gave us permission to use them. They're on YouTube, but we need to put them on our YouTube stuff so people can see what Bonnie did. It was great. She tried hard. And like I said, now Bonnie's in her 70s, so she's like me. She's no spring chicken, and she's out there competing. She wants to show people what mules can do. Yeah. And she's been riding my saddle, 8, 9 years now, and she literally rode holes in the fenders. She rides so much, And the other one I want to mention is Mark Williams. I heard you mention Mark Williams there. Last week I had that really nice cup,
Yes.
And I said it was Mark Miller. It was not Mark Miller. It was Mark Williams.
There we go.
He was the one that did the nice cup from me. He's got a nickname on YouTube there. Not Billy the Kid. What is it?
Sundance Kid?
Sundance Kid.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just want to clarify that there. My brother in the Lord, Mark, he gave that to me. And hey, folks, those of you that you hear me call folks brothers and sisters because they are in the Lord, we got our holiday coming up, Resurrection Sunday. I don't call it Easter. I call it Resurrection Sunday because our Savior, he's the only one that done it.
Yeah, I was listening to a song. We'll get to the next question here in a second, but I was on my way in to work this morning, and I put on a CD that I really like. There's a band out there called Shane and Shane. I like them a lot. But there was a song. It says, "The Lord is my salvation," and it was just a really, really great song. Leading up here to Good Friday and then Resurrection Sunday. It says, "Who is like the Lord our God, strong to save, faithful in love? My debt is paid and the victory is won. The Lord is my salvation." And I started weeping because it hit me so much. I sent it to my wife, and and she took a listen to it, and it's just been a real blessing. So I'll send that link to you, and I'll put it on the comment section for anyone who wants that as well. Next question we have here, this one comes from Kayla on Facebook. She says, hey, I have a question. Hey, Kayla, we'll get it answered for you. She says, how many times a week minimum should a mule be worked? I currently do about 2 longer rides, usually about 2 to 3 hours a week, and 2 arena rides a week with shorter trail ride after. My guy is pretty fit and he seems happy, but sometimes I don't feel like I'm doing enough for him. He enjoys working, unlike my horses who prefer to hang around and eat. That's good. What would you say there to Kayla? That's a great question.
Well, you see, Kayla has one of those forward-moving mules. Like we was talking about, the one in the round pen, going around with a lot of energy. Kayla's got that kind of mule. Kayla, here's the deal with this mule. Ride it as much as you want. Just be careful of overheating it and overdoing it. You know, it's not that you put in so many hours or so many miles, quality time. So working with the mule to side pass, turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters. I can work a mule 4 to 6 hours a week, and that's a lot. Now, if I'm going to go hunting, or if I'm going to do like Eric and do competitions, sure, I'm going to ride in a different way. But you got, sounds like a very energetic, lot of energy mule. So if you love riding it, 10, 12 hours a week, 15 hours a week, or like Bonnie Fox, ride the hair off of them, well, go ahead. But just remember, folks, you can blow a tendon, and be careful of letting them rest. Make sure you lift up the back of the saddle, like I was telling Karen earlier, lift up the back of the saddle, cool down the back, give them a chance to get a break, because it's really easy to scald their back.
Yeah, very good. I love hearing that, though, folks just out there enjoying. And that's really what we want all folks to be. There was a post that was out on Facebook earlier this week, and it was, I'm trying to remember I think Tammy commented. It was basically from one of your clients who said, hey, it was a tough ride, get going, but I really enjoy my mule now. And I think it was Tammy said, I hope to be able to mimic your success. She was saying that on the comment. In the comment section on the post, but that really is. I mean, I know there's a lot of folks out there that hear, Kayla's out there riding. I really would love to get to that point, and that's why we do these things. Is we want you to get to that point as well, and we'll give you the hard truths as well. If it's going to take a lot of hard work, we'll tell you what hard work you got to do. If it's going to mean, hey, possibly thinking about getting a different mule because this one, the disposition, and hey, we'll be straight up and honest with you. We won't tell you something that you want to hear. We'll tell you what you need to hear so that you're safe, your animal's safe, so that you get joy out of the animal, and so the animal gets joy out of serving you. So I love hearing that, though, and it is possible, and we've got lots of folks who say it. We've got Dawn here over on YouTube. Dawn says, I feed my mule the same food, hay and little grain and low sugar treats. Is that acceptable?
Well, I'm not really one for having treats. It's the easiest way to get yourself bit if you do it by hand. If you put the treat in the feeder, that's okay. Here's the problem, folks, is we were talking about Karen's mule earlier. That's 28 years old and developed that fat pocket. Look, the older we get, the more fat pockets we get. And I've got the fat pocket right here, and you girls know where you get yours, and we won't go no farther. But anyway, they don't need all the extras, folks. They need the extras if you're going to be like Eric Palmer or somebody if I'm going to be punching cows all day, my mule needs energy, I'll give them what's good for them. And that's when they need the sugar. That's when they need the carbohydrates. And that is whole oats. I'm going to climb in the saddle at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I know I'm not going to be back home till 6 o'clock that night. I want my mule to have the energy. I want him to burn the fat, but I don't want him to burn the muscle. And folks, if you don't feed them the grains with the carbohydrates in them, that's the time to do it so that they have the energy to go through the day. The treats are really good for the treat companies, and if it makes you feel good, give them the treat, but otherwise they don't need it. They just need good clean water. They need white salt only, not the mineral salt, folks. You're wasting your money on mineral salt. But most of all, you want to have a feed that has all the vitamins and minerals that they need. talk to your veterinarian. See what they have to say about what your mule may be low in. Because the problem is when you feed hay, you don't know what's in that hay. And that's what I keep telling folks. I got a lot of articles on feed and talk about it. That hay, the salmonella content in hay would blow you folks away. Think about it. There's bird poop in there. There's mouse poop. There's all kinds of parts of animals and stuff. And we don't know it, but the animal eats it and boom. So the best thing you can do is feed a good, clean feed. I've got articles on one called Mules Can't Stand Prosperity. You might want to look at that one as well.
So real quick follow-up question here from D. D says, is the bump, 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 is that going to be with both hands? Is that going to be with the left hand? Is that going to be with the right hand?
When you're riding, you're going to have your hands in direct reining position. You may be riding with one, and then you need to bump. Then you go ahead and put your hands on each side of the bridle. So now you're two-handed, and you're going to go bump with the right side, bump with the left side. That's asking. And then you're going to tail, bump, 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 bump. And then you're going to demand, bump, 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 bump. And then you'll go back to asking, and you'll see that mule's going to really respond. That's natural. That's what the herd leader does. She pins her ears. She says, don't come no closer. Then she pins her ears and swishes her tail. I told you don't come no closer. Then she spins and kicks, ask, tail, demand. That's what natural horsemanship is supposed to look like, folks. What's natural for the animal, okay? So use that. Bump, got your hands on the reins. Bump, right brain. Bump, left brain. They don't get response. Bump, bump. Then you go to tail, then demand. Bump, 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 bump. Kind of sounds like a good coffee brand.
You know what? I'll snap my fingers and we'll have it done. Folks, we got Come Along Coffee. I'll put a link, as Steve's answering this next question, I'll put a link in the comments section. Let's get you all some Come Along Coffee here. Next question that I got here, and this one follows up on the question of feed, and it was just right here. There it is. This one's from Aaron, and Aaron asks, I have a question regarding feeding new mules. Having recently taken on a couple that are 2 years old, unhandled, very skinny and wormy. Now, I know how to fatten and fix up a horse, but I keep hearing mixed things about feeding mules, such as anything with alfalfa is no good. Anything with grain is no good. At the moment, we are in a drought here in Australia, so pasture, grass hay is hard to find. Our horses eat oat hay. The two little mules are yarded. What should I be feeding to them to get them back to a reasonable condition and hopefully have them start growing again?
Yeah, that's tough. That oat hay can develop into the fat pockets because of the carbohydrates. I mean, if you got nothing else to feed, then feed it. You got babies there. Number one thing, get their teeth floated. That's number one thing. Start with that. That so they can grind their feed properly. Number two, worming. Get your ivermectin and worm them twice a year, and that'll help them out. Then as far as babies go, 2 years old, keep feed in front of them all the time. If you can get a hold of some good coastal hay or something like that, that's the best for them. But, we've got some articles on the feeding that you can send them there. Dave would be a good help to them.
Yeah, I've got Mules Can't Stand Prosperity in the comment section. I've got a link to the Feed Talk video in the comment section. And then I just put a link to, we discussed this another time. It was nutrition for foals, nutrition and feed program for foals. So I put that in the comment section as well. So Aaron, go ahead and take a look at those and then send me a message, support@muleranch.com, with any follow-up questions. You could also send Steve a message directly as well if you'd like, steve@muleranch.com. Either way, let us follow up with you and kind of think through it a little bit more. Let's see here. I want to hustle through and get to all the questions. We got a lot of questions here today.
Good.
Let's see. Let's see, Tommy Payne, Tyler, Texas. Oh, man, I've been to Tyler, Texas. Tommy Payne, Tyler, Texas. Steve, I just want to let you know I was able to adjust my draft halters, and they fit great. Mules don't like them because they have to do what I want now. They did try to rub them off a couple times, but I finally gave up and decided to stand tie. Also, the come-along halter is fantastic. It is a godsend. Really glad you are able to create it. Thanks for calling me and helping me get those halters adjusted. So always happy to hear that, Tommy.
Yep.
Let's see here. This one's from Kelly. So Kelly says, I bought a mule last fall. After we got her home, she showed us some signs of someone handling her rough, more than likely. She's quieter in the saddle than not. When you handle her on the ground, she moves back and forth super fast. On the trail, if she's right behind a horse or a mule with her nose in the tail of one of the front of her, she's quiet. If she's beside one, she's nervous mess. She was a pack mule. We don't know for how long, but that seems to be the type of position she's happy in. How do we help her become quieter and comfortable on the trail in any position? Ponying with an experienced horse or mule? That's super quiet. She grabbed the bit once and ran off naturally. We are leery. So what would you say there for Kelly? Yeah, obviously you're leery. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing, Kelly, is these animals can walk right in behind the other, and they're comfortable. That's their way of life. It's like you coming through your front door in your house and going, home, that feels good. You see, they are in their whole world right there. They're with another equine. They see a butt, and they're happy. You get them out alongside. It's not that they've been treated rough. Now, a lot of people think that. It's not that. It's just that they feel the predator on their back, that's you and me, that there's going to be a problem. So I ride personally with my mule rider's martingale. I don't care how broke somebody says it is, how trained it is, how many miles it's been in the mountains or anything like that. I put my mule rider's martingale on, it sets everything up, and go from there. Then it's up to you to be able to ride through the problem. Just like we were talking about earlier, that person in Africa, how now they're able to ride through and go. Yes, folks, you got your hands. They're here like this, and you use your legs to go forward. They feel there's a problem. You make right there uncomfortable. Use your legs, spur them, make them go forward. And that way they see that you are the herd leader. Look, folks, if you don't use your spurs on them, they're going to put you on ignore. And the ER can get really expensive, and a helicopter plane ride is not what you want to do. So, you're going to have to be a little bit tough with them. You can't say, oh, poor Fluffy. Don't do that. Don't do that, folks. You're going to have to use your hands. You're going to have to use your feet and make them go.
Awesome. All right, we're going to get through with the rest of these questions here. Kevin says, I just bought 4 mules from Ada, Oklahoma mule sale. Would you recommend the Flu-Rhino vaccines?
Yep, I'm afraid you're going to have to. It's a 5-way. Your Eastern Western is included with that, along with your tetanus. And go ahead and do all 5 of them, absolutely. Get all your animals done, Kevin. Kevin told me he was going to go to that sale, and he comes back. Not with just 1 mule, but 5. So he got mulosis really bad. So do that, Kevin. Get all your teeth floated, and then go from there. Kevin just got done buying, I think 2 or 3 saddles, and I'm glad to hear he got some good mules. Good, but get busy with the teeth floating and go from there.
That's awesome. Linda just says from Mount Vernon, Ohio, I want to say how grateful I am to have a gentle, respectful, well-trained John mule for my very first mule after many years of horses. We're happy for you too, Linda.
Good,
and we're glad that you're here. We're really glad that you're here. David Pingelli, sitting in the Rio, Brazil airport, just got on, coming through loud and strong. Awesome. David's been traveling.
Yeah. David travels with these cruise companies, and he's an entertainer. He not only makes good coffee, but he's an entertainer as well.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. Is David coming out here, or is that David Scholl?
No. But I'm going to go back there. I'm going to go back there and drink some of that good coffee and drive that old Ford of his.
All right, here we go. Jeremy says, I bought a mule. Old owner must have had a saddle always way too far forward. The hair is all missing underside from behind behind the front legs. Will the hair grow back?
Yes, the hair will grow back. The problem is, folks, they're riding horse saddles, and they only have the one back cinch, or they're not even tightening up the other one. So, yeah, it's going to wear hair. You're riding breeching all the time, and when you change saddles out and put a saddle on there, it fits, your mule's going to be happy. But, yes, the hair will grow back. But the problem is, Dave, in that area, that's the softest part of a mule's body, right up underneath here. They get it from the donkey, and it soars really easy, especially when you're using sorry saddles.
Yeah. All right. Next question. This one's from Lynn Ann. She says, Hi, Lynn. She says, I have 2 donkeys. I ride both, but prefer the Mammoth. They are very attached to each other. Fancy will go out alone, but is trying to come back. She goes out well with another horse. The standard donkey braits for her. I've tried ponying her, but she is so slow, she about pulls me out of the saddle. How can I take her along so she doesn't feel neglected?
Come along hitch. Put the come along hitch on there, dally up, and when she pulls back on that, she'll find out she can't do it. All right? Yeah. When I went to Yosemite, was packing freight up there for Steve Ybarra and those guys. They give me all the junk mules just to see if I can do something with them, I think, but use the come along hitch. Now look, there's nothing wrong with leaving that other mule in the corral. Let it throw a fit. Let it do all that. It'll get over it. Ain't no big deal. Do not put them together. Keep them in separate pens. That's really important. Not so much that it would help their buddying up, but also it would help them. The more they feed together, the more they water together, the more they want to spend together. So not only do you want to keep them apart, but you want to take them, feed them according to each one of them's needs. It's not going to help the buddy problem because herding instinct is really tight in an equine. So just let that one go back there, throw a fit, and you go ahead and go ride and enjoy it. Don't pay attention to it.
Next question here. This one's from Charles over on YouTube, and Charles says, I'm thinking about getting a mule for coon hunting. What would you recommend for getting a mule used to dogs, light, darkness? Thank you.
The best thing to do is just ride. That's all you can do. There's not one particular thing you can do. Go out and ride without the dogs to start with, and then ride with the dogs during the daylight hours where they can see them. Remember that dog's a predator, so they have to get used to him. The downside, folks, it's kind of there's not really a particular training session that you can use. I use my border collies all the time for doing training, but during that training session, I teach you how to do it. And I literally have to write a book on all the things that are important. The best thing to do is just ride. That's the best thing you can do.
The one thing I'm gonna throw out there too is when you go to buy Disposition. The one thing I've learned from you that folks will be like, oh, a Henny, or should I get a John, or should I get a Molly, or should I get a Jack, or should a Jenny, all these different things. And the one consistent that you'll always say is, I don't look at any of that stuff. I look at disposition first. Disposition first, confirmation second.
Yep. That's it exactly.
I'll put a link in the for the so the disposition. Explain real quick again what disposition is, because I've got an article that I'm going to put a link for confirmation.
Yeah, basically disposition is nice big brown eyes, head's kind of down and relaxed when he sees you. It's not what's going on? Its head's all down. Look, if they do this, then that doesn't mean they've been beat on. It just means that their disposition is a fast-forward, fast-going disposition, the kind of one you want to have in competition. But the one you want on a trail, the one that puts his head up and goes, hey, Pard, how are you? Relaxed when he's around you, head down, not worried. It's important, folks, that you read the head. When the head comes up, they're worried, they're concerned. And it should immediately go away really quick.
Very good. All right, we are almost through all the questions here. We've got a question from KK over on YouTube. Says, how much salt should I give my mule? Now, I've never heard anyone ever say that you should give a mule salt. So should you give a mule salt? How much and why?
I keep a 50-pound block of salt in front of my mules all the time. they need salt all the time because that helps with their digestive system. If you have one that doesn't do a lot with their block salt, then put granular salt in with the feed, and you can get like your rock salt and this sort of thing that you can use. But they've got to have salt, folks, in order to digest.
Awesome. All right, let me make sure we've got all of our questions here. Here's one from Jerry. Dry spots. I have your cowboy saddle and pads with triple heavy pad. I get dry spots with the standard pad, no dry spots. Is the heavy one just too thick?
No, it could be the way you're cinching it up, Jerry. The dry spots are right in behind the scapula probably, and that means the front cinch is a little bit too tight. You got a little bit thicker pad, so just loosen up the front cinch a little bit more, you should be fine.
All right. Now, this one I thought was pretty good. Kate says, my only question is how do I get out of a dental appointment so that I can tune in and watch the live clinic Q&A?
Yeah, you just have to, it's always there, the live stream, so you can just go over there and pick it up anytime, huh, Dave?
That is it. Okay, I've got, two more. Do you have time for two more, Steve?
Sure, go.
All right, so Glenn, we're going to get to yours right here. So we've got two more, and then any others I'll add to next week. Glenn says, I got an 8-year-old Molly mule, had her for 3 years. Big problem is when I am riding her and my cell phone rings in my shirt pocket, she gets really nervous. Can she feel the vibration through me and the saddle has no problem with the phone ringing standing beside her? So thoughts there on that.
Yeah. Yeah, you bet. If they can feel a fly, they can darn sure feel your phone vibrating. Folks, and they'll get over it. I've had people bring me mules in the past where they try to pop a top on a beer or a soda pop, and they get blowed up and end up in the hospital. They'll get over it. You just got to let it go. I'll never forget back at the Grand Canyon, we just come across the bridge and was going along the river, and I had one of them cameras that automatically rewound, and I had it in my pocket, and I thought, well, I'm going to take a picture of this over here because that's really a neat picture. I took it, and it's about the time it rewound. Boy, my mule I was riding went to bucking, and I threw that camera, and it landed over in the sand, but I got it fixed. But after that, I tried to find other ways, but you never know. It buzzed again several times, never bothered the mule at all. But that one time it happened to have gone off just wrong, and he blew up.
All right, here we've got Betty saying hi. Hi, this is Herschel from Missouri. I just got your downhill hip saddle pad this afternoon. Sunshine here, 79. And we're really glad that you're here hanging out, Herschel. Tim just hopped on from Parma, Idaho. Tim, thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to go back and watch the replay when we're done here. And then here we go. Sundance Kid. Anyone close to Pennington Gap, Virginia? Give me a shout. That's Mark Williams, right?
Yep, that's Mark Williams.
Mark Williams.
And Mark loves to ride, folks. If you want to ride with a man that likes to ride, he's got cows and stuff, but he likes to ride. Mark Miller kind of hooked himself up to him, too. It's really good. But Mark Williams is a solid Christian man. He was the one that gave me that nice cup I was telling you about. Boy, it's a beautiful cup. I used that cup, Mark, this week in Prump, Nevada. It kept my coffee nice and hot. And then when I had cold water, it kept my ice in there all day long. Thank you.
All right, let's see here. Last question. This one's from Linda. I am healing from a total knee replacement at age 66. My new mule is a 10-year-old kid's ride. Stands unless you ask him to move. I can't tolerate very long activity at this point. Is it okay to just ride 30 minutes at a time in the ring while I build up my own strength? The mule seems okay with it. Absolutely. 15 minutes at a time is plenty. The main thing is you get healed. You don't want to get in there and go after that again. My goodness. And your mule, folks, look, when my wife and I used to go on tour, we'd be gone from this ranch 5 or 6 months at a time, traveling all over the United States. Our mules would stand that whole time. Rarely was we able to give them to someone that would use them. They usually just stood in a corral or maybe out on the ranch someplace. And they stood. When they come back, we climbed on them and rode off. They can handle it. You don't have to ride the hair off of them, folks. If you got a mule with a good disposition, you got it made. Awesome. Steve, that's all the questions we have for this week. Folks, if there are any questions that I missed, my sincerest apologies. I'm doing my best to keep up. Sometimes just randomly they'll disappear on Facebook or YouTube. So there were a lot today. If I missed yours by any chance, please send a message to support@muleranch.com. I'll take a look at it. I will get you the answer that you need ASAP. And if we need to, we'll even get you on the phone with Steve himself. But thank you so much for everyone for tuning in, hanging out. This is a lot of fun. We're going to be back here next week, so be sure to come and spend some time with us. Final request, if you haven't done this yet, we ask that you do it. Before we end here, go ahead and click the share button down at the bottom so that later on this evening, when folks are coming home from work, when folks are kind of sitting back, reclining, just relaxing, getting ready for bed, and they're looking on Facebook or YouTube, they see this, and then they see it, and they listen to it, they hear it for the first time, and it becomes something that really winds up being a blessing to them. You can be the source of that blessing for them, so go ahead and make sure to share it, and they will be very, very grateful. Steve, when is the Hoosier Festival? That's coming up pretty soon here.
Yes, it is. It's the first weekend of May. It's up and coming, and by golly, it's going to be a dandy. I'm looking forward to it. Mark Miller's going to be there bringing his mule. I get a chance to meet Mark and help him with his new mule. And I just had another gal, Cindy. Was it Cindy? Oh, golly, I forgot her name now. She just contacted me today, and I told her she can be a runner-up in there. Folks, come and see me. Remember what I told you. You come and see me. I'm going to give you one of my pocket knives that I'm going to have.
From Keith. Keith, the one that did them, right? Pocket knives?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm going to make sure the first 50 people come up to me, I'm going to give them one of my pocket knives. And you know what, Dave? I think I ought to bring some come-along coffee with me because I may just use that as a door prize.
Oh, that's right. I got to put that. I was so busy looking for articles. I'm going to grab that real quick. Folks, hang on 1 second. I'm going to put a link straight to the come-along coffee. It comes in 3 flavors: ask, tell, and demand.
Oh, man, that demand does wake you up in the morning.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so I'm going to put come along coffee.
I finished up my bread from the Netherlands. So
I was in California last week, and so I'm actually going to be getting a time scheduled to come out there, spend some time with you, with Susan, and get my bread too. All right, there we go. Come Along Coffee link is in there. Steve, thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Honestly, this is so much fun to spend time with you. If y'all weren't watching, we wouldn't be able to. We'd be like, well, no one's watching, Steve. I guess there's no one else out there to help. We've helped them all. But y'all, we love that you keep coming back and spending time with us. It really does mean a lot to us. And all of our best this week for all of our brothers and sisters in the Lord celebrating Good Friday. And then Resurrection Sunday. And if for some reason the whole Good Friday, Resurrection Sunday thing, it's a little bit of a mystery to you, you're never quite understood it, feel free to give Steve a call, 602-999-6853. Or you can send him a message, steve@muleranch.com. You can send me a message, support@muleranch.com. Both of us, Steve and myself, we know, trust, love, believe in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. We believe that we have a mission here on earth to help as many people as possible and do it in a way that brings glory and honor to the Lord. So really that's the purpose behind everything that we do. And if you want to know more about who He is with this Easter coming up, please do feel free to reach out. No judgment. We're willing to answer any and every question that you got. And every question is a good question. So we're here to talk about mules and donkeys, but if you want to talk about some of the things that have that eternal significance, we are happy to do so as well. We welcome it. Steve, anything else you want to say before we are all done here?
No, it's been a tremendous blessing, my brother. I was blessed by having all the people get in. I mean, look at all the different nations that's called in. It's got mules and donkeys are everywhere. Yeah. So folks, hey, thank you so much for the blessing to be able to sit and visit with you and help you out. Have an awesome Resurrection Sunday.
Awesome. Happy Resurrection Sunday, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Yeah.